On the outskirts of a bustling neighborhood in New York, on a street where houses line up with meticulous symmetry, there stands a residence that, at first glance, seems nothing more than an ordinary home with its exposed brick and large windows. However, appearances can be deceiving, as within these walls unfolds a very different narrative marked by tensions and emotional shadows. Clara, a woman whose presence dominates not only the physical space, but also the emotional atmosphere of the house, lives there with her 3 daughters. She is a middle-aged woman with dark hair always pulled back into a tight bun, eyes that rarely show anything beyond calculation and disdain, and a posture that demands respect, or at least submission, at first sight. Narcissistic and controlling, Clara sees her daughters not as individuals with their own desires and dreams, but as extensions of her own will. Sophia, the eldest, is an 18-year-old young woman with soft features that barely conceal the resilience formed by years of confrontation and resistance. Her eyes, once full of hope, now often reflect a deep wariness. Isabella, at 16, shares her sister's soft beauty, but her rebelliousness is more evident, manifesting in every defiant gesture and look she directs at their mother. Emma, the youngest at just 14, is still trying to find her place, oscillating between the desire to please and the fear of provoking Clara's wrath. On a particularly tense day, Clara intercepts a conversation between her daughters about an outdoor event at the local park. With calculated coldness, she approaches the girls, her voice slicing through the air with surgical precision. "Where do you think you're going?" Clara asks, her words laden with authority. Sophia, the eternal protector, steps forward, her voice trying to remain calm. "Mom, it's just an event at the park. We thought that." "You thought wrong," Clara interrupts, raising a hand as if to physically cut off her daughter's hope. "Events like that are for people with a future, and I've already told you, you'll never amount to anything in life." Clara's words reverberate through the room, as concrete and immutable as the bricks that make up the house. Sophia feels their weight pressing against her chest, while Isabella clenches her fists, anger bubbling beneath the surface. Emma, on the other hand, lowers her gaze, a single tear sliding down her cheek. The atmosphere in the room becomes suffocating, with each breath seeming to carry the weight of an eternity. The daughters, once filled with enthusiasm for a day at the park, now find themselves staring at the floor, their hopes shattered as abruptly as they were conceived. And so, amidst this constant dynamic of control and suppression, the seeds of a desperate plan begin to germinate in Sophia's heart. Tired of seeing the light fade from her sister's eyes, she starts to imagine a different life, far from Clara's grasp. A life where they could breathe freely and cultivate the sparks of self-esteem that their mother had worked so hard to extinguish. Within the confines of that seemingly ordinary house, each day dawns with a silent promise of tension. The atmosphere, already heavy with Clara's bitterness, transforms into a battlefield where every word carries the weight of a blow. The mother, deeply rooted in her own insecurities and desires for control, never misses an opportunity to criticize Sophia, Isabella, and Emma, pointing out flaws where none exist and weaving a web of rules that resemble prison bars more than protective guidelines. For Clara, routine is an arsenal. She rises before dawn, prepares breakfast, and positions herself at the head of the table, from where she casts severe looks and sharp comments. "Sophia, your hair is a mess. Are you planning to go out like that? It looks like you don't even care about your appearance," she would say, frowning as Sophia tries to smooth her unruly strands, her face a mixture of frustration and resignation. Isabella, in turn, receives criticism about her clothes. "That blouse is too bold. Change it before I get more irritated." And for Emma, still trying to conform to her mother's expectations, the reprimands are about her silence. "You're always so quiet. A young girl should be lively and communicative." Clara's rules are clear and strict, designed not just to discipline but to isolate. Bans on going out with friends after school, severe restrictions on phone and internet use, and even limitations on how far they can go in the neighborhood without supervision. The house, instead of being a refuge, is a fortress that keeps them away from the outside world, a place where their voices are constantly stifled by Clara's authoritarianism. The sisters, each in her own way, try to navigate this sea of criticism and rules. Sophia, the eldest, occasionally attempts to argue, seeking some sense of justice or at least temporary relief from the restrictions. Isabella, with her rebellious spirit, often finds herself in direct confrontations with Clara, each comment from their mother met with an equally sharp retort. Emma, the youngest and most vulnerable, often retreats into silence, a silence that is both a shield and a prison. As the discussions and criticisms unfold day after day, the emotional toll accumulates like layers of dust on a forgotten object. The girls, each fighting in her own way, begin to feel the crushing weight of life under Clara's rule. However, it is the constant oppression and the desire for something more that plants within Sophia an increasingly firm resolve. One particularly difficult day, after a series of criticisms about how they should behave in front of guests, a rare and always tense event, Sophia finds herself staring at her reflection in the bathroom mirror, her features hardened not only by the makeup her mother insisted she wear, but by the determination beginning to take shape. Clara's words reverberate in her mind, but instead of shrinking away, she feels a surge of protection, a growing need to change not just her own life, but also that of her sisters. As the days passed, each one brought its share of struggles and heavy silences. However, one Saturday morning came with a different promise. Colorful posters and social media announcements proclaimed the upcoming outdoor festival at the city's big park, an event that promised music, games, and the freedom of a day away from the oppressive walls of their daily lives. Sophia, Isabella, and Emma, each trapped in their own bubble of forced isolation, saw this event as a rare opportunity. A ray of light, a chance to breathe fresh air and feel, for a few hours, the normalcy that had been so long denied to them. They exchanged knowing glances, their minds swirling with plans and possibilities, the mere idea of the event sparking excitement in their young hearts. With a mix of hope and caution, Sophia decided to bring up the subject during breakfast, the time when Clara seemed most receptive, or at least less combative. However, her mother's reception was anything but warm. "A festival? And what exactly do you three think you'll do there?" Clara inquired, her tone dripping with disdain. Her words were like a cold bucket of water, but Sophia persisted, trying to infuse her voice with a touch of optimism. "It will be a fun day, Mom. Everyone is going. It would be good for us, a little fresh air and fun." Clara responded with a harsh laugh, a sound that held little joy and much scorn. "Fresh air? Fun? What you need is to learn how to behave and prepare for real life, not waste time on foolishness." The silence that followed was thick, the sisters exchanging glances that mingled disappointment with growing resignation. Sensing their hesitation, Clara decided to drive her words in like final daggers. "You will never amount to anything in life," she declared, each word dripping with venom. "Going to that event won't change who you are or will be under my care. Forget about it." Clara's words didn't just cut through the air, they lodged deeply into her daughters' hearts, heavy and cruel. Sophia felt the injustice burn in her chest, a flame of mixed anger and sadness. Isabella, always the more rebellious, clenched her teeth, holding back tears of frustration. Emma, the youngest, lowered her eyes, the weight of those words crushing the small vestige of hope that had bloomed in her heart. That morning, as the house returned to its oppressive routine, something within Sophia solidified. The determination, once a whisper in her mind, now began to take the form of a silent scream, a resolve that would no longer allow her sisters' futures to be dictated by such cold and loveless hands. As Clara went about her life, oblivious to the emotional turmoil she had sparked, Sophia began secretly devising an escape plan. The need to protect Isabella and Emma, to offer them a world where they could truly breathe and be themselves, became a mission she could no longer ignore. The atmosphere in the house became unbearable in the days following the festival ban. Clara's words echoed in the minds of Sophia, Isabella, and Emma, painful reminders of a life confined by the walls of a home that resembled a prison more than a sanctuary. Sophia, particularly affected by her mother's disdain, often found herself lost in thought, her warrior spirit stirring beneath the calm surface she tried to maintain. In her room, under the dim glow of the bedside lamp, Sophia mentally reviewed every interaction, every venomous comment, every arbitrary restriction. The determination that had begun as a spark during breakfast after the festival announcement now burned like an unquenchable flame. She knew that if they didn't act, their future would unfold under the same gray sky of oppression and despair. With the house enveloped in the quiet of the night and Clara finally asleep, Sophia rose, her movements smooth but resolute. She made her way to Isabella and Emma's rooms, her heart beating a rhythm of urgency and fear. Hurried whispers filled the space between them as Sophia explained her plan, each word laden with a weight that none of them could truly grasp until they crossed the threshold of the door. "We can't live like this forever," Sophia murmured, as she helped Emma gather some clothes and essentials into a backpack. "It's now or never. We need a life where we can be ourselves, far from her control." Isabella, always the most willing to defy Clara's authority, nodded with determination, her eyes shining with a mix of fear and excitement. Emma, the most reluctant and fearful of the three, clutched her teddy bear against her chest, the childish comfort a sharp contrast to the gravity of their reality. Together, they gathered the little they considered essential: a few pieces of clothing, important documents, a small amount of money Sophia had managed to save, and the few personal items that meant more than their utility might suggest. With each item packed, the reality of their decision became more palpable, more final. At last, with the house still shrouded in darkness, they made their way to the back door, their hearts pounding with every step. The night air was cool, a contrast to the suffocating heat of their emotions. Sophia took the lead, holding Emma's hand firmly, with Isabella close behind, closing the small procession with a resolute expression. They left the house under the cover of darkness, each step away from that oppressive environment, carrying the weight of an irrevocable decision. The street was silent, the shadows of the trees swaying gently in the wind, as if nature itself conspired in their favor. As they moved away from the only home they had ever known, fear and hope intertwined in their hearts. The decision to flee was not just a physical escape, but a step toward a new life, uncertain and frightening, but full of possibilities that Clara's oppression could never offer. Behind them, the house remained shrouded in darkness, a closed chapter in their lives as they ventured into the unknown. The silence of the night enveloped the city as Clara awoke to the absence of her daughters. Their room remained empty, the bed unmade, and the closets partially vacant, mute witnesses to a decision made under the cover of darkness. Clara's heart, usually hardened by the certainty of her authority, now pulsed with a venomous mix of anger and fear. In the girls' room, a whirlwind of conflicting emotions flooded her. Upon discovering their escape, Clara could not contain herself. Her voice echoed through the walls of the house, a storm of curses and threats. She knew where to search, whom to pressure, what favors to call in to recover her daughters and restore the order that had been challenged. As Clara mobilized her resources and influence, Sophia, Isabella, and Emma found temporary refuge in the homes of supportive friends and in the warm embrace of Sophia's boyfriend. Each familiar face offered a glimpse of safety and hope, an island of calm in the turbulent ocean of their lives. There, in the dark and forgotten corners of the city once knew only superficially, they exchanged furtive glances and urgent whispers. The days unfolded like a battle of wills. Driven by a fierce determination, Clara used every means at her disposal to track down her fugitive daughters. Incessant phone calls, unexpected visits to friends and acquaintances, cryptic messages, and unspoken promises of severe consequences if the girls did not return immediately. Her presence became a sinister shadow hovering over every corner of the city, a presence that knew no bounds in its quest for total submission. Meanwhile, Sophia, Isabella, and Emma learned the harsh lessons of life on the run. Every step was an act of caution, every glance over the shoulder a cruel reminder of the reality they had chosen to defy. But the support of loyal friends and the strength they found in one another served as shields against the winds of adversity. With each passing day, they grew stronger, fueled by the desire for a life free from the oppressive shadow of their mother. Yet, despite their meticulous precautions, the specter of Clara persisted, an insistent echo of control and threat that infiltrated their sleepless nights and moments of weakness. Clara's pursuit was relentless, driven by the certainty that her daughters could not escape forever. And so, in the vortex of resistance and despair, a silent battle unfolded, with each side determined to prevail in the confrontation that would define their destinies. After weeks of fleeing and hiding, Sophia, her face marked by determination and her soul hardened by recent hardships, made a decision that promised to be as challenging as the escape itself: to confront Clara legally to gain custody of Isabella and Emma. It wasn't just a matter of freedom, it was a necessity for safety, away from the grasp of a mother whose love had proven to be more toxic than nurturing. With the support of friends and her boyfriend, who had now become a pillar of strength in her life, Sophia sought legal assistance. They found a family law attorney whose empathy for the sisters' situation was immediate. He was a middle-aged man with eyes that had seen many sad cases, but still shone with the hope for justice. Together, he and Sophia meticulously crafted a strategy, outlining each step they would need to take in a minefield of legal procedures and emotional battles. The legal process began with a series of petitions and testimonies. Despite her young age, Sophia presented herself with surprising maturity, clearly articulating the abuse and neglect they had suffered under Clara's care. Isabella and Emma, each in their own way, contributed their own experiences, detailing life under their mother's control, with descriptions that painted a picture not only of manipulation, but also of the deep emotional scars left by those years. Clara, on the other hand, armed with her own lawyer, did not give in easily. Her legal maneuvers were shrewd, exploiting every possible loophole and portraying herself as a desperate mother fighting against the unfounded rebellion of ungrateful daughters. She spun a counter-narrative, woven with half-truths and dramatizations, in an attempt to discredit the legitimacy of Sophia's claims. Beyond the legal turmoil, Sophia and her sisters' battle was amplified by the social stigma that accompanied a visibly shattered family. Whispered comments, looks of pity and judgment, and the constant perception of being scrutinized by a community that often valued family unity, regardless of internal toxicity, made each day heavier. However, despite the challenges, Sophia remained steadfast. Each court appearance, each mediation session, only reinforced her resolve. She became both a defender and a sister to Isabella and Emma, whose admiration and trust in her grew with each passing day. As the case dragged on, with hearings scheduled and postponed, the tension between their desire for freedom and the threat of being pulled back into Clara's orbit kept the sisters in a constant state of alert. Yet the solidarity found in mutual support and in those who chose to help them offered a counterbalance to this tension, a reminder that despite the hardships, they were not alone in this fight. Time, relentless and indifferent, marched on as Sophia, Isabella, and Emma faced the whirlwind of their legal battle. The months unfolded in an endless sequence of hearings, testimonies, and postponed decisions, each marking the rhythm of a life still suspended, awaiting the resolution of a conflict that had deeply rooted itself in their existence. In the courtroom, the judge, an austere and imposing figure, presided over the proceedings with a gravity that reflected the seriousness of the case. Documents were analyzed, testimonies scrutinized, and legal arguments debated, with each side presenting their view of the facts in an arena marked by both the pursuit of justice and the exposure of personal wounds. Sophia, with each appearance, grew increasingly confident, though her inner self was a whirlwind of anxiety and hope. She presented herself not only as the voice of her sisters, but as a symbol of resistance against domestic oppression. Beside her, Isabella and Emma exchanged looks of admiration and apprehension, aware of the weight each session carried for their futures. Clara, on the other hand, showed signs of wear as the case progressed. Her attempts to maneuver the narrative in her favor began to falter in the face of the accumulating evidence and testimonies against her. The image of a desperate mother was giving way to that of an antagonist in a story where the true victims were beginning to claim their voice and space. Finally, after what felt like an eternity, the judge delivered his decision. With a voice carrying the weight of a gavel of justice, he granted Sophia legal custody of Isabella and Emma, acknowledging the toxic environment Clara had created and the young women's right to a safe and loving home, free from the shadows of maternal control and manipulation. When victory came, it was sweet, flooding the trio with palpable relief. Sophia felt tears well up, not just from joy but from the end of a battle that had consumed so much of their energy and emotions. Isabella and Emma embraced each other, and then Sophia, in a gesture that sealed their unity and renewed love. However, despite the legal success, the emotional scars remained. The sisters knew that the road ahead would still be filled with challenges. The need to rebuild their lives, heal the wounds of the past, and establish a new normal was an imminent reality. The victory in court didn't erase the years of manipulation and pain, but it offered a starting point, a foundation upon which they could begin to build a future of their own. With legal custody secured, Sophia looked at her sisters with a mix of pride and determination. It was time to start the reconstruction, to turn the relief of victory into concrete actions that would ensure the toxic environment they had left behind could never touch them again. Life, with all its possibilities, awaited them, and together, they were ready to face whatever came next. The sun began to set on the horizon, coloring the sky with promises and hope as they prepared for the next chapter of their lives. After the emotional storm of the legal battle, the sky finally cleared for Sophia, Isabella, Emma, and Sophia's boyfriend Michael, signaling a new beginning. As they embarked on this new phase of their lives, free from Clara's oppression, they found themselves standing before a vast, untapped terrain of possibilities, ready to be shaped by their dreams and aspirations. Sophia, emerging as the central figure of this new family arrangement, naturally took on the role of matriarch. She saw herself not only as the eldest sister, but also as the guardian of her sister's happiness and well-being. Their new home, modest yet filled with love and care, became the setting for a life radically different from what they had known. Michael, Sophia's partner, proved to be a constant source of support and love. He not only embraced his role beside Sophia, but also actively engaged in the day-to-day lives of the younger sisters, helping to create a safe and encouraging environment. Together, they wove a web of emotional security, where each family member could express their feelings and hopes without fear of reprimand or disdain. As the days turned into weeks and months, Sophia and Michael decided to expand their family. The arrival of their children marked a new chapter in their lives, filling the house with laughter and renewed energy. Sophia, acutely aware of the challenges of her own childhood, made a deep commitment to being the mother she never had. She cultivated an atmosphere of openness and support, encouraging her children to explore the world with confidence and curiosity, ensuring they always felt valued and loved. Isabella and Emma, now in a stable environment, began to flourish in their own ways. Isabella, always the artist, delved into the world of the arts, finding in painting and sculpture a means to express her repressed emotions and visions of the world. Emma, on the other hand, discovered a passion for science, dedicating herself to her studies with a devotion that was both an escape and a form of redemption. Sophia and Michael's home became a hub of warmth and personal growth. Friends and family often visited, drawn by the atmosphere of acceptance and the joy that now defined the household. Meals became events filled with laughter and lively conversation, where every family member could share their experiences and lessons learned. As Sophia observed all of this, she felt a mix of gratitude and fulfillment. The life they had built together was a testament not only to their resilience, but also to their ability to transform pain into something beautiful and lasting. However, she knew that the process of healing old wounds was ongoing. Each day brought with it both memories of the past and the promise of a better future. As the sun set, coloring the sky with shades of gold and orange, reflecting on the tranquil lake visible from the living room window, the family gathered, feeling the peace of the present. Against all odds, they had built a sanctuary of love and understanding. Yet, even in the midst of this new life, echoes of the past sometimes resurfaced, reminding them that the journey to full recovery was still ongoing. In the newly woven tapestry of Sophia, Isabella, and Emma's lives, each thread seemed to vibrate with the potential for new possibilities. Isabella, in particular, embraced her newfound freedom with a thirst for life that only someone deprived of choices could understand. Her next big step was college, a vast and bright horizon that opened before her, full of opportunities to shape her own destiny. After years under Clara's repressive control, which imposed severe restrictions on her interests and aspirations. Isabella now faced the choice of her career with palpable enthusiasm. She chose to dive into the world of fine arts, a passion that had always quietly burned in her heart but had been stifled by the suffocating atmosphere of her maternal home. Art for Isabella was not just a form of expression, it was a manifesto of her freedom, an affirmation of her identity, and a bridge to a future where she could truly be herself. The process of selecting a university was meticulous. Isabella spent hours immersed in course catalogs, virtual campus tours, and consultations with academic advisors. She was determined to choose a place that would not only strengthen her artistic skills, but also provide an environment where she could flourish, both personally and socially. Finally, she decided on a prestigious institution known for its progressive visual arts program and vibrant student community. The moment she received her acceptance letter was one of pure euphoria. Isabella felt a wave of accomplishment and anticipation wash over her, marking the beginning of an exciting chapter in her life. As she prepared for college, Isabella also invested time in honing her artistic technique, participating in workshops and local exhibitions. Each brushstroke on the canvas was a line drawn between her dark past and her promising future. Every color she chose represented a step away from Clara's shadows. Sophia and Emma supported Isabella unconditionally, proud to see their middle sister embrace her talent and pursue her dreams with such passion. The house was often filled with sketches, canvases, and a creative energy that infected everyone who entered. Isabella's art was not just an escape, it was a transformation, both of her inner world and the space around her. As the day of departure for college approached, a mix of emotions filled the air. Isabella's anticipation for academic independence was accompanied by a sweet melancholy at leaving behind the refuge that Sophia and Michael had created. However, each family member knew that this was a necessary and glorious step in Isabella's journey to becoming the woman and artist she was destined to be. With the final preparations underway and the goodbyes imminent, the family planned a small celebration to mark the beginning of this new phase in Isabella's life. It was a moment of recognition and reaffirmation that every step taken so far had prepared them for this very point of transition. As Isabella prepared to embark on her academic and artistic journey, Emma, the youngest of the sisters, found her own path through a less visible but equally vital role within the family dynamic. Growing up under the influence of Sophia and Isabella's courageous decisions, Emma developed a keen sense of empathy and a deep desire to contribute to the harmony and well-being of the home they now so lovingly shared. In the warm environment created by Sophia and her partner Michael, Emma became the emotional and practical support of the family. With the arrival of Sophia's children, Emma embraced the role of a loving aunt with an enthusiasm and seriousness that transcended her age. She was often involved in caring for her nieces and nephews, from preparing their meals to helping them with their schoolwork and playtime, allowing Sophia moments of rest or time to focus on other responsibilities. Emma also found time to help Isabella organize her art exhibitions or prepare portfolios for university presentations, ensuring that every detail was perfect. Her ability to anticipate the needs of others and act before they even asked was a skill that daily strengthened the bonds between the sisters. Young Emma, with her gentle and determined spirit, also began to venture into her own interests and hobbies. Inspired by the creative environment that Isabella brought into the home and by Sophia's unwavering support, Emma began exploring photography. She found in the camera an extension of her own worldview, capturing moments of simple beauty and joy that often go unnoticed. Her photography projects often turned into family projects, bringing everyone together for impromptu photo sessions that felt more like celebrations of their unity and happiness. As Emma matured, her influence within the household grew subtly yet significantly. She was often the mediator, the voice of reason during the rare moments of disagreement, and the bearer of peace, always ready with a smile or a kind word to dissolve any tension. The house, filled with love, creativity, and mutual support, reflected the spirit of collaboration and care that Emma helped nurture. Through her actions and dedication, she not only strengthened family bonds but also helped build an environment where everyone felt valued and supported. With Isabella preparing to leave for college, the dynamics of the house were about to change once again. Emma, sensing the emotional weight that the farewell would bring, especially for Sophia, prepared herself to offer even more support and comfort, ensuring that the transition would be smooth for everyone. As the day of Isabella's departure approached, Emma planned ways to keep the family's unity and spirit vibrant, fully aware that her role as the glue connecting them all would become more important than ever. As the years wove their narratives into the tapestry of time, Sophia, Isabella, and Emma solidified their lives far from the oppressive shadow that had marked their childhood. The transformation of their home into a refuge of warmth and understanding was nothing short of revolutionary, a stark contrast to the dark days under Clara's control. In every corner of the house that Sophia and Michael had created, a sense of safety and acceptance reigned. The walls, once invisible guardians of secrets and sorrows, now resonated with laughter and lively conversations. Photographs of happy moments captured through Emma's attentive lens adorned the surfaces, celebrating each small success and every major milestone. Sophia, as the matriarch of the family, remained the driving force behind the spirit of unity and resilience in the home. Her relationship with Michael only deepened, strengthened by the challenges they faced together and the joys shared in raising their children. Each child, with their laughter and curiosity, added a new layer of happiness to Sophia's life, allowing her to experience the facets of motherhood she had always wanted to offer but never received. Isabella, though often absent due to university commitments and her emerging artistic career, remained deeply rooted in the heart of the family. Her visits were occasions for celebration, each return home a vibrant reminder that distance could never weaken the bonds they shared. The walls of the house proudly displayed her artworks, each piece a reflection of her personal journey and a testament to the freedom she now enjoyed. Emma, for her part, played an increasingly central role, not just as the beloved aunt or family photographer, but as a figure of emotional stability. Her love for photography evolved into a small business, allowing her to contribute to the household in a way that was both creative and practical. She was the calm in the center of the storm, always ready with a word of comfort or a supportive gesture. The decision to sever all ties with Clara, made years ago, remained steadfast. There was no doubt among the sisters that distancing themselves from their mother's toxicity was essential for their mental and emotional health. And while Clara's absence might have left a void in their lives under different circumstances, in this case, it only reinforced the supportive and loving environment they had created. In their home, the ghosts of the past were just that, powerless shadows against the bright light of their cohesive and loving present. As the years passed and each sister followed her path, the home that Sophia had established continued to be the beating heart of their lives, a place they could always return to. It was a sanctuary not only of happy memories, but of future promises, a space where, despite life's challenges, they knew they would always find acceptance and love. As they prepared for another family reunion, they reflected on how, despite everything, they had managed not only to survive, but to thrive. As the years unfolded, bringing with them the changing seasons that altered the landscape and climate, the sisters' lives followed a course filled with growth and renewal. However, even in the fullness of their renewed lives, Clara's shadow occasionally stretched out to touch the edges of their serene days. Her attempts at intrusion, through sporadic messages laden with old recriminations and veiled threats, sought to disturb the peace that Sophia, Isabella, and Emma had worked so hard to achieve. Clara, whose influence once resembled an iron cage around their lives, now found her power diminished, diluted by the distance and firm emotional detachment her daughters had developed. The sisters, strengthened by years of autonomy and mutual support, had learned to treat these attempts at contact not as the threatening summonses they once were, but as mere echoes of a past from which they had freed themselves. Each message from Clara was received with a measure of caution, but without the old fear that once accompanied the sound of her name. Sophia, in particular, had become an expert at filtering out her mother's residual toxicity, ensuring it did not disrupt the balance of the home she had so carefully built. Isabella, now more often away due to academic commitments and art exhibitions, was rarely unsettled by Clara's weak attempts at manipulation. Emma, whose sensitivity had always been more pronounced, found in photography and her sister's support a shield against the words that once would have triggered emotional storms. This new dynamic, in which Clara's attempts at intrusion were met with a mix of indifference and practical measures, reinforced the wall the sisters had built against the past. Discussions about how to handle Clara's communications were brief and to the point, often concluding with a decision to maintain their strategy of emotional and physical distance, reaffirming their commitment to protecting the peace and mental health they now enjoyed. In her moments of reflection, Sophia often considered the long road they had traveled, from the dark days of fear to their current freedom, filled with love and personal achievements. This journey, marked by both challenges and victories, had taught the sisters the invaluable lessons of resilience and unity. Thus, as they prepared for yet another family gathering, with the house filled with the smell of freshly baked cake and laughter filling the spaces between casual conversations, Clara's distant threats were nothing more than passing shadows in a world illuminated by the strength of their renewed bond. And as the night approached, bringing with it the promise of new memories to be made, the sisters shared a tacit understanding that, together, they could face any remnants of the past that still tried to claim a place in their lives. As time wove its intricate tapestry through the lives of Sophia, Isabella, and Emma, each passing year added a new layer of understanding and maturity to their collective experiences. The old resentment that might have festered into anger toward Clara gradually transformed into a sad and resigned acceptance. The sisters recognized that, despite their hopes for reconciliation or change in Clara, certain realities are unchangeable, and some wounds, though healed, leave indelible marks. This acceptance did not emerge as a defeat, but as a conscious choice to channel their energies into what could truly flourish under their care and love. Sophia, the backbone of the trio, established herself not only as a matriarch to her own children, but also as a pillar of strength and wisdom for Isabella and Emma. In her home, the celebrations of small daily triumphs and significant life milestones became rituals that reinforced the joy of being together, of sharing a life they had consciously chosen to build far from the shadows of their past. Isabella, now a recognized artist, found in the colors and shapes of her works a language through which she could express not only her own journeys and struggles, but also the beauty she saw in the world around her. Each exhibition of her work was a celebration of how far she had come, a visual testament to her evolution from a silenced young girl to a woman whose voice resonated in galleries and art halls. Emma, in turn, transformed her passion for photography into a continuous visual narrative of her family's life and the world she discovered through her lens. Her photographs, filled with intimacy and raw emotion, became a chronicle not only of her own life, but also of her hopes and dreams. Together, the sisters found a new definition of peace. It wasn't the absence of conflict, but the presence of love and acceptance that defined their existence. They learned that looking to the future didn't mean forgetting the past, but choosing not to let the shadows of that past obscure the light of their present and future achievements. Every family gathering, every birthday, and every holiday became marked not just by festivities, but also by reflections on how much they had grown together. The future, a canvas yet to be fully painted, promised even more possibilities. As the sisters prepared for yet another family gathering, with the house filled with the aroma of meals cooked with love and the laughter of children playing, they knew that every moment together was a testament to their resilience and the beauty of the life they had chosen to create. Yet, even amidst this hard-won peace, they remained vigilant, knowing that the world outside still held challenges and surprises, ready to face together whatever might come next. In the vibrant and intricate tapestry that formed the lives of Sophia, Isabella, and Emma, each thread woven over the years shone with the color of overcoming and transformation. Now firmly established and independent women, they often found themselves reflecting on the journeys each had taken. This reflection was not one of nostalgia, but of recognition of the battles fought and the victories won. Sophia, the matriarch whose strength had been a beacon for her sisters, continued to instill in her children the values of resilience and compassion that she so deeply cherished. Her home, always a refuge of love and security, echoed with the laughter of children growing up, knowing they were unconditionally loved, and that any challenge could be overcome with unity and mutual support. Isabella, whose art now adorned not only gallery walls, but also educational and discussion spaces on overcoming adversity, used her creativity as a tool for teaching and inspiration. She dedicated herself to community projects that promoted art as a form of therapy and personal expression, teaching young people in her community that each brushstroke could be a step toward healing and self-discovery. Emma, whose photographs captured the essence of everyday beauty and significant moments in life, became a visual educator, guiding others to see the world through lenses of possibility and positive change. Her work, often centered on themes of resilience and renewal, was a living testament to the power of images to tell stories that words often cannot express. Together, the sisters committed themselves to creating a new legacy, one that spoke of love, security, and the transformative power of unconditional support. At every family gathering, at every celebration of their countless small successes and major achievements, they reaffirmed the commitment that the cycle of abuse that had so deeply marked their own childhood would end with them. This commitment was reflected in the eyes of every child running through the halls of Sophia's house, in every smile of gratitude on the faces of those Isabella helped through her art, and in every look of discovery from the students Emma guided in her photography workshops. Clara's legacy, once a threatening shadow over their lives, had become nothing more than a distant memory, a reminder of a past from which they had freed themselves. And as the sun set, bathing the house and its surroundings in tones of gold and amber, a symbol of the end of one day and the promise of another, the sisters shared a moment of quiet. A renewed promise echoed silently between them, to protect, love, and guide the next generation, ensuring that the legacy they would leave behind would be one of hope, strength, and unbreakable love. Life, with all its challenges and beauties, remained a journey that, though often difficult, was infinitely enriched by the certainty that they did not walk it alone.
So, if you're not subscribed yet, click on the subscribe button below and join our community. Thank you for your support and see you in the next videos.